Hi everyone, I'm back today with another super simple craft idea. Today I'm going to show you how to make this embroidery hoop organizer. This is a fun way to display and store your favourite embroidery tools. To make the hoop organizer, I'm using a 9-inch embroidery hoop, which is a perfect size. I've also got 3 different pieces of fabric. So first of all, I've got my natural calico cotton, then I've got this pink gingham and this really pretty strawberry fabric. The first thing I'm going to do is separate out my embroidery hoop. So I'm just loosening the fastening and I'm going to lay the inner hoop down on the table. The next thing I'm going to do is add a piece of natural calico cotton fabric. This is going to help keep our pattern fabric nice and tight within the hoop. For the background fabric, I'm going to use this pretty strawberry fabric. So I've cut out a piece the same size and I'm going to layer this on top of the natural calico. For the pocket, I've chosen to use this lovely pink gingham cotton fabric. Now I'm going to take my piece of fabric and I'm going to fold it in half to create the pocket. Now I'm going to flip it over and lay it across the centre of the hoop, just like this. This is super handy as it avoids a frayed edge at the top. Now I'm going to grab my outer hoop and pop that on top. I've rearranged my fabric slightly just to make sure I'm getting some nice strawberries within the hoop. Just going to give it a good squeeze to make sure we've got that on there nice and securely. Now I'm just going to give the edges of the fabric a gentle pull to make sure it's nice and tight. Here we go. So the fabric is nice and tight in the hoop. I've tightened the fastening and you can see the lovely strawberries. Now if you want a slightly more defined crease, you could iron the fabric first. Now what I'm going to do is back the hoop. So I'm going to start trimming off some of the excess fabric. So I'm using my trusty pinking shears here. This gives it a nice crinkled edge which stops the fabric from fraying quite so much. And I'm just going to work my way around the edge. Here we go, so I've trimmed all the way around the edge. Don't worry if it's a little bit wonky in places because that's going to be all hidden on the back. Now grabbing some embroidery thread, I'm going to work running stitch around this outer fabric. So just starting by pushing the needle up through the fabric, pulling the thread all the way through. I've got quite a long piece here to make sure we can get all the way around the edge and then pulling it back through, avoiding any tangles. There we go, that's our first little stitch, and then I'm going to repeat this method until I've stitched around the whole edge of the hoop. So here is my finished stitching. So we've got this nice frilly edge. Now I'm going to lay this down on the table. And now I'm just going to push my needle back through the fabric just so that it's on that side. Give that a good pull. There we go. I'm just going to remove my needle so that's not dangling in the way. Now, just readjusting. I'm now going to pull that thread to gather in the edges. There we go. Nice and smooth. You can see that really pretty kind of frilly texture. So it's rather like a drawstring effect. This is the way that I back all of my hoops. Now I'm just going to chop off the excess thread and then separate the strands and then just tie them in a knot to secure that running stitch. And I'm just going to do one more just to make sure it's really nice and secure. And now just get rid of any excess thread with my snippers. Here we go. So we've got our little pocket here ready, and now I'm going to grab some of my favourite embroidery tools. I'm going to tuck in my scissors. I've got my heat erasable pen there as well. And then I'm just going to tuck in my trusty ruler as well. I use this all the time. And there we go. That is our embroidery hoop organizer all finished. Favourite thing about this is you can use any fabric you like, so different patterns, different colours. Have fun and experiment. Will you be giving this one a go? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. Happy stitching.